What's up, everybody? So, back from holiday. It was fantastic. Thank you for sending me the holiday wishes. So, we have another question and also a new patron that just came in. And he asked a question, or she, not really sure. I don't know how to read this name. And I can't tell if it's female or male. But most likely, you're a guy. So, we have this. And that is... Can you give me some advice on how to achieve fat-ass sounds like this track? Then we have a beautiful visual analysis. His bass is a couple of dB above his kick. And his waveform looks like this, which basically means that the kick drum is above his bass. Oh my god. And then when he does it, or she, you have the kick drum, but it's at the same level as the bass. Oh my god. Yeah, so this is the main thing of visual analysis. Don't use visual analysis. Because there's more fundamental frequencies to a kick drum. So a kick drum isn't just this brr, brr, and a bass line isn't just da, da, up here. So on that bombshell, let's figure out if I have the download. Yes, I do. More projects and this one. And let's have some fun. Let's have a listen. Figure out what's going on with this track and check it out. So. The fuck is that? Very loud kick. Okay, I think it's just going to be one of those one bassline songs. What I mean with one bassline is there's one note. Yeah, okay. It should be pretty easy to remake that. So, here come the tips. First, what I've already said is that a kick drum and a bass line isn't just this. So getting the fundamental equally loud to each other does not mean that you go look into your spectral analyzer and you go like, well, the kick drum main's fundamental is there and the bass is over there. Because a spectral analyzer like this, it uses waveforms. So, as in a sine wave is much longer and will have a massive blob here at the bottom, but you can't really tell how actually loud something is to begin with because it's a fault of this thing. So, it's almost impossible to tell if the, G sharp on the first, whatever this is, 30 hertz is actually louder than the bass line, which is almost right next to it. Most of the time that bass line will appear louder because it can actually read that tiny little kick drum. So don't ever, or actually you can, but just don't use visual analysis. It's just going to kick yourself in your own butt and you're going to get all confused by it. Instead, use your ears. Now, and a little bit of common sense. What we need to think about here is that everybody will perceive bass in a different way, and most people won't have a system to play back on that plays any of these frequencies to begin with. So, therefore, we need to check if the song plays back at around 100 hertz and if we still have that right amount of bass. And from there, you will be able to tell if it still sounds warm. Oh. I was already like, that sounds fantastic. But let's check it out. So there is a slight hint of that D still in there, which is the note that's used. It's somewhere there. So here comes the trick. Okay, so what you do to get the perfect amount of bass into your track is use your ears and boop, boop, boop. No? Okay, whatever. use your ears and do this. So first we need to get the right notes, which is, I think that's D. Right? Yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. Let's just plop that in there. Okay, plop it in, ploppity plop plop, and fold, and loop, and turn this off. And we need to understand that your bass line is going to be split up in two. So you have to, oh shit, you're gonna have a top end, which is going to be top end, prop, and you're gonna have a bottom. Let's have some more spelling mistakes. Bottom. And your bottom is basically going to be your sub layer, or at least your cut layer. So you're gonna cut your bottom frequencies out. And let's have a little bit more bass with a sub and a direct out and an octave lower. Around there. And what we're going to do is the same thing with the top end, the trop end, and EQ it. And basically we're going to cut it over there somewhere. Ugh. All right. And we're going to also cut the top end because it sounds like that, but we can actually use the internal filter from Ozone, or from what's this called? Serum. Because it sounded kind of like that when I listened to the beginning of the track. Something like that. Right? Something like that. Okay. Now, what we can do is we can process both of these separate from each other. But the main part that you can do, which is where basically we learn how to set the right amount of bass, is that we have volume buttons and ears. So the first thing what I suggest we do is we take away the bottom, so the sub layer. We just put that on quiet. We also turn this one quiet as well. Turn that on. We're gonna get a kick drum. Go. Boop, 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 boop. Doesn't really matter what kick drum it is now, but something that will work with So the way I choose a kick drum is to just keep that in my head and then choose a kick drum. I don't know. Might be a little bit too low, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. Imagine it's the perfect kick drum, okay? So we're gonna just set in the things here. And we're gonna listen. Let's make it a little bit faster because the song is a little bit faster. Yeah, something like that. And we're going to slowly drop in the top end. Okay, great. We're gonna then do that side chaining sound that's there. So I'll use the Boots and Cats sidechain thing. All right. Then I'm gonna just widen that up a little bit because I can. And then the ultimate answer to the question of how do you get that fat bass sound in? Really simple. Turn on the sublayer and really slowly put in the bass that you need. Now, at the same time, what I suggest you do, if you find this difficult, is you get a Command K and you solo the other track. So you sometimes do this. You have your mouse here. Okay, and then sometimes you go back and forth. But I'm going to do this with my ears instead. So I'll just put a comfortable listening level and really slowly. And the way you set it so that it's perfect is just when it comes in, all of a sudden the song will sound warm. That's it. Then stop pushing it. Once you've set it, go back and forth to the other track and make it about the same listening level. And that's pretty much it, actually. There's not much more to it than that. So that's how you set the perfect amount of bass and get a fat sounding track. You might have to, you know, mix the Boots and Cats sidechaining thing a little bit, but that's all there is to it. You know, then there's still like compression, mixing, and all that kind of stuff. But this is the perfect amount of sub bass, and you use your ears for it. Okay. So now that you've learned that, there's also some side sounds that are happening in the track. Right? Jesus, come on. So you have that's in the middle. So you have the sub layer that's you know, being in the middle of the track, and in the side you have that blop blop blop, those hits, those stabs. So to prove that point, to make it go home, we will get a utility, and I always do this, and I highly suggest you do this too. Is you get a utility and put one utility on number 4 and put one utility on number 5. Number 4 is going to be mono. Number 5 is going to go to mid-side mode and put it in side mode. And then, and then what you can do is listen to it in mono and in side mode. So in mono, the song sounds like this. And I want you to pay attention to those bass stabs. They're almost non-existent, and in the side, there they are. So that means that what the guy did that made this, or maybe the mixing engineer, but most likely there's no mixing engineer that actually mixed this. He got something called an Ozone Imager, which is a free plugin, and he put that onto a track where that blop 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 is. Let's just find the stab, and I'll show you what happened and what you need to look out for to get those stabs to sound great. Oh God. I just need bass. Oh God. Okay, so great. So we have some bass here. Obviously this is not like the best example, but whatever. So listen. Okay, let's use those bloom bloom, those sounds, because it's kind of similar. And this now has an imager on here. Let's just turn it down as well. And most bass sounds, most stabs, most samples will, on this vector scope, have one line down the middle. That means that it's completely mono. So that's the number 4 button. And what we wanted is for it also to appear in the side. So the way you do that is you click your little stereoize button. Boop, you click your width button and your amount button. And because they're so sidey, what I suggest you do is instead of looking through this beautiful vector scope, start looking over here. So +1 is going to be completely mono. See, so it's +1, the little dots right there. And then you want it to be like this. No, a little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more. Somewhere around this area. So you can push into that if you want to. Most people will not be okay with side information, but you know, it's up to you. So it's side information being low end side information. So most people, what they will do is they get a mid-side mode EQ and will cut the low end like this. But listening to that song, they cut the low end around there at about 36 hertz for the side channel. So I'm giving a passive approval because that's what the guy did. But that's literally all there is to it. Oh, cock. What I do suggest to make this a little bit cooler is to, you know, basically that's all the fat things that are there. You don't really need to know anything else for now. Get your dry wet, pull it fully wet, put it onto a send, and then, you know, try to automate your sends. For instance, this stuff comes through quite a lot. Go. And just automate your send. And then you can get that kind of stuff, which is a main essential for this type of music. And then if you want to have bonus points, I suggest you think about what the reverb tail does. Does it just go or can it do auto panning, or can it do filtering? So like, and can you then start, you know, making that auto pan, for instance, do this? So it's a little bit more interesting for the listener. Otherwise, it's just. But that's it. That's all for that, because going to compression for now is just going to start confusing the living snot out of you. So you also sent some more examples. This one, more Kristen Kraken, but I'm not really a fan of him. So let's just check out this instead. I can already tell what kind of mix it is, so that's why I'm like, meh. So let's go with this guy and listen to this. There are no bass. Okay. Do you hear that there? Here, listen. Listen to the da, and then the third one. No. Da da da. That's the same thing that happened here. Da, and then you put it into a send, and it goes into the distance. That's it. Much love. I hope you've enjoyed this session, and it would be great to actually hear what you have done. Bye bye.